You left it at home?
I did it last time I was here.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Randazzo. And today I am joined by two co-hosts. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
To my left, it is none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Pelzolo.
Good afternoon.
On the ones and twos, he cut off his own penis. It's Bruce the Tugboat Venditti.
Whoa. Hello.
And we're joined in studio today by Gary No Football. A round of applause.
Should
Round
I
of applause.
turn my camera?
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
Everybody
go
knows
ahead.
what he looks like. Look how suave he looks right now.
Put it on him. Drinking this Modelo.
Yeah,
Wife's probably wondering where he's at.
there he is. Welcome. It's not a good morning. I'm not going to say good morning because it's not a good morning.
It's not even the morning.
It's an afternoon. It's not a good afternoon. It's not. It's just not good. Oh, Dark Lumen's in the chat today too. Wow, what a day! What a day. Uncle Sam, how's your weekend?
Right.
High points, low points, pits, peaks. Anything good?
No.
Zolo, your weekend?
Went to Mr. Paul's Saturday night,
Ooh, nice.
and I got a veal chop. They had a bone-in veal chop special,
High point.
and they did it in a bordelaise.
Sounds fantastic.
It was good.
Bruce,
It's all right.
anything good happen to you?
Nope.
Didn't think so.
Smoked a bunch of weed.
That's it.
Went to the gym.
Okay. I usually don't take point on these things here, but today I left Ford Field yesterday.
Oh, you were there?
I was there. I decided at about 1 o'clock I was going to go to the game. And I've probably, more so than all of us, I have been the biggest, I don't know if homer's the right word. I didn't think they were going to lose a game for the rest of the year. I know I picked Buffalo. That was just a farce. I didn't think it was going to go the way that it did. I knew there was going to be a ton of points. Either way, I'm very, very upset from yesterday's Lions game. That doesn't even get into all of the news that we got today, but just from yesterday. Okay. And before we break down the game, I'm going to talk about this because I'm so perplexed. You have 12 minutes left in the football game. You have 3 timeouts. You are down by 10 points. And I know the argument is Dan Campbell has won all of these games. It's the way he is. He's always going to lay it on the line. Going for it on 4th and 2 to seal the deal, or going for it on 4th and 1 3 times in one game is one thing. There is some sort of logic and statistic that goes into it. And I guess if you want to argue that the onside kick with 12 minutes left in the game was him saying, hey, our defense isn't going to stop them. So we must play to get the ball back. Okay, we have to keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hand. Okay. I don't love the idea of it at all, but I understand the philosophy. I don't agree with it. There's plenty of time left. You never know what can happen. You're not in dire straits yet. Your offense, the entire second half, has scored at will because realistically, if we learned anything about Buffalo yesterday, it's that their defense, outside of the first 3 possessions of the game, which we just tried to run the ball down their throats and that didn't work, is not good. Buffalo does not have a great defense, period. Beside that, you go for it when your offense has all the momentum in the world with 12 minutes left in the game and you're down by 10. Because you want to keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hand. I don't agree with it, but if you're going to do it, that's fine. It backfires in your face, and Mac Hollins runs it to the 3-yard line, and they score instantly on the next play. That's fine. Didn't work. You go, you take the ball, and you go and you score. And you look good doing it, and you do it quick, and you do exactly, your offense does exactly what they need to do. And then what does Dan Campbell do after that? He kicks it deep. I'm sorry. I did not agree with the onside kick at 12 minutes, but the worst coaching decision I think he ever made that I can remember, in my opinion, is when you kick and you go for the onside kick. It's not like you can surprise anybody. You have to declare it. So he goes for an onside kick with 12 minutes and 3 timeouts left in the game. It doesn't work. Your offense does its job, and then you say we're going to give Josh Allen the ball back, and we're going to let him drain the clock. What are you thinking? I have to know. It didn't work. You think Lightning's going to strike twice? You think Mac Hollins with no shoes on is going to jump up and it's not going to happen the exact same way again. If your goal was to keep Josh Allen off of the field, you do the onside kick again. You already fucked it up. So keep it rolling. You played into their hand perfectly with that. Perfectly. The way the Lions offense played in the second half yesterday was probably the best half of football they've played all year. They could not be stopped. So you don't want Josh Allen to have the ball. You want your offense to keep it. Okay, so you do the onside kick. And then they do their job. And you go back on the whole philosophy? I'm sorry. I have been so irritated by it all day. And I was pissed about the onside kick. But the fact that he went back and didn't do it over again. You have to. You have to. Otherwise, the last one was for naught. You gave them the ball on the 3-yard line for nothing then. I'm sorry. Could not get behind that. The defense did not play well. At the end of the day, you can't expect much out. You can't expect anything realistically, in my opinion, out of this Lions defense going forward. You do not have a linebacker on this team that's capable of covering a third-string running back in the passing game that we cut because Ty Johnson torched you. It's bad. I think it's going to get worse. But that move yesterday out of Dan Campbell was in my opinion, the worst coaching decision he's made in his tenure as a Lions fan. Not necessarily the onside kick. That was bad. But then when you don't go for the second one, my jaw was dropped.
I got one I also didn't like. More than those two. I didn't mind the onside kick if you guys didn't like it. Anyone? I got a lot of texts yesterday and today. Like, I'm not going to argue. It's fine. I will play devil's advocate, but I'm not going to argue. I'll tell you what I didn't like. There was really poor clock management in the last 4 minutes of
That
the game.
too. Letting it drain.
When they got in the last, 3 or 4 minutes left, when they let Buffalo, they had 3 timeouts.
Correct.
And they let Buffalo kick a field goal. You could have called a timeout on 3rd down, and you let them run the clock to the 2-minute warning, if I remember correctly, or right before. And you could have
36 seconds.
you could have bought yourself, closer. Yeah, we'll call it 40 seconds. You could have bought yourself time there. And then on top of that, they could have taken 1 timeout on that 2-minute drill to the point where had they got the ball back on that last onside kick, which they almost recovered, by the way. Right. They probably did recover. Had they gotten the ball back, they would have had significantly more time. You save the timeouts for that reason. So what are you doing still saving the timeouts at that point in time? That bothered me. I wasn't as bothered with the onside kick.
The second one.
Yeah, maybe he thought the game was over, but yeah, you're right. You're right, and I'm happy you said something. Like, you need to double down at that point.
Yeah, if you're gonna go for it,
if you're gonna go for it, keep going for it.
Yes.
And anyone who, a lot of people came at me with, oh, it's a 3% success rate. You're right. It's horrible this year. They've ruined onside kicks. They're already talking about fixing them.
The kickoff rule is stupid. It should never have been done.
Agreed.
Wouldn't be shocked if they do away with the
A lot
kickoff rule.
And when this goes in front of the board this year or whatever, I think you've seen the last of it this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think they
there
should
hasn't been
ever bring it
kickoffs.
back.
There hasn't been kickoffs.
They should never.
It didn't work. It's fine.
Stupid.
It works. It's you go away from it if it doesn't work. So
It doesn't work. You haven't announced that you're going to fucking try to onside kick is the stupidest thing I've ever.
I think they're gonna go away from it. By the way, and last week there was a I don't know what they call their board of governors owners meetings. There was the owner meetings last week in Texas, and they're talking about, in lieu of the onside kick, putting in an offensive play. You run one offensive play. If you convert it, you get the ball back. That's what they're talking about doing at the moment. Anyways, long story short, I'm not going to argue the semantics of the kick. Yeah, the percentage is low. I respect Dan Campbell for knowing in that situation that his defense is done.
Agreed.
And that they didn't have I think he's looking at it from other angles that we're also not thinking about. For one, he's thinking, well, if they do recover this, they get the ball at the 40. Maybe we stop them. We force a bad field goal. Another thing, the execution on both onside kicks was perfect.
It was.
The first one, Mac Hollins made an incredible play tipping the ball to himself. If you had the right guy there, you recover that ball. Number 2, he returned it 40 yards. Okay, even still, if he returns it to the 10, fine, whatever, the 5, whatever. If you get a stop, you hold them to 3 points.
Correct.
But they didn't get the stop, and I think that further proves why it made sense to me to kick it. You weren't stopping them. You had gotten minimal stops in 6 halves of football going back to the last game.
I can't wrap my head around the fact that he didn't do it. If you have 12 minutes, if you're kicking onside with 12 minutes, you're doing it the rest of the way. I could not believe it when they came out there and didn't announce that they were going for the onside kick. I could not believe it. That was number 1.
He may have surrendered at that point in time. They may have been thinking surrender. Like, I don't think he realized how well the offense was playing because the run game had completely stalled out. It was probably historically one of the worst games I've seen from the interior line.
Well, you know what? When you're,
I want your opinion.
listen to me. They came out flat. They got punched in the.
They got punched in the mouth.
They got punched in the mouth right from the get.
That's
Right from the
exactly what
get.
happened.
They got punched in the mouth.
Okay.
What the man is saying is exactly what happened.
What I don't understand is when you got safeties that are up into the box. If you're Ben Johnson,
Start throwing right out of the gate,
how
baby.
come you're not pushing the ball downfield, knowing that they got 8-10 guys in the box?
And it worked when they
What
did.
are you doing?
And it worked when they did push the ball downfield.
Well,
exactly.
Hold on.
So why the fuck did we wait to the third possession before you start deciding how you're going to move the ball? You couldn't see that earlier? This pisses me off when teams have a 10
Philosophy.
days off, they get fucking relaxed, and they've been on a roll, and they come in complacent, and they got punched in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth early. It was too late for them to recover. Listen, don't fool yourselves.
That's where I'm going to disagree
Don't
with you.
fool yourselves.
I'm going to disagree with
They
you.
were never in this
They
game.
were one. Hold
They
on.
were never in this game.
That's where I'm going to disagree with you. And I will give the Lions all of the credit in the world. They were they needed one singular defensive stop. One, and they would have won
never
that
in the
game.
game.
Because that offense, their offense could not be stopped. If they would have got one stop, that's where I'm going to disagree. And that's the only reason why.
At what point were they down by 17?
At the half.
No.
No.
14 at the
No.
half. In the
No.
third quarter.
They were
The
down
third quarter, they
21
were down
at
by
one point.
They were
35
down by 17. in the third quarter.
35-21 at the end of the third quarter.
Okay.
There you go.
Guess what? They were one defensive stop from winning that football game because the offense could not be stopped. They needed a pick, they needed a fumble, they needed something. It was too little, too late, and I agree, but they were one defensive play away from that. The problem that I see now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go. I want you to finish.
The problem that I see now, and this is all fine and dandy, and I have been, in my mind, I eliminated everybody else in the NFC from Super Bowl contention. There's a big glaring problem now. If they find one team whose defense is just good enough to force them into a couple mistakes, which I don't, again, I still stand by the fact that the Lions can't be beat. They beat themselves. And yesterday, I truly think they beat themselves. I do. The Bills' offense could not be stopped. Their defense is so down bad right now that I don't know. I'm at the point now with today's injury news, because before you could brush it off. Yes, it was bad, but now I'm at the point where I don't think you can recover defensively to be able to make the run. I'm there. The Aleem McNeil injury for me is close to a deal sealer as you can get. Your number one corner going out is as close to a deal sealer as you can get in a defense that's already depleted of its playmakers. Anzalone should be back. That's a beautiful thing. And you're going to get some guys back, but you are missing realistically for the rest of the year 2 of your top 4 defensive guys. 3 of your top 4 defensive guys, because I forgot about Hutchinson again. If you have to do that every single week through the NFL playoffs, and I talked a lot of shit to you last week about it, now I'm there. And it sucks, but I don't think they have the defense to, and granted it was the Bills, and the Bills offense is probably one step below the Detroit Lions, but now I'm in panic mode. I've hit panic mode.
Do you think the Bills' defense has enough to win the Super Bowl?
I don't.
Thanks for saying it.
I don't think the Bills' defense has enough to win the Super Bowl either. The problem is last night you saw perfectly the 2 most complete clicking offenses that are currently in the NFL. And all it took is one defensive stop. That is it. Because that Lions offense could not be stopped. The Bills had no answers. The only reason the Bills came out on top in that game is because they got up quick and early, and that was the one time this year the Lions took a punch in the mouth and couldn't recover. I'm in panic mode. Yes, I know that game is not the end-all, be-all. Losing it really doesn't change the trajectory of things all that much. But the collateral damage from that game, me as the one who sat up here for months now and said, this Lions team isn't going to lose a game the rest of the way, now I am in panic mode. The David Montgomery thing, I think Uncle Sam will probably agree with me. On paper, it's not that bad, but when you lose the threat of your power running game, that is bad. That is bad. You only have to prepare for Gibbs now. You don't have to prepare for Montgomery. You can run on them now. You're missing your best. Aleem McNeil is your best defensive lineman. He is gone. You're going to have Kindle Vildor at a starting corner spot again. The same guy who got torched through the 49ers NFC Championship game last year. I am now in panic mode, and I have not been in panic mode once. But I am in panic mode. Please, I would love to hear you guys chime in.
You guys were both right about something that you said 5 minutes ago. Uncle Sam was right saying that the game wasn't as close as the score. You're both, hold on. You were right too. You can go through my texts, you can go through anything. How many times I turned to everyone sitting next to me, and how many times I texted people and saying, all they need is one stop.
One stop, dude. One.
All they needed was one stop. Or in Uncle Sam's case, all they need, like, they had 2 empty possessions to start the game, and they were down 14-0. All they needed was a touchdown on one of those possessions, and it probably looks a little bit different. A little bit different. I do think they got punched in the mouth. I do think that it was a lack of preparedness. Am I panicking? Yeah, I'm more so upset about this current rash of injuries than I was about anything. Mainly, I disagree on McNeil. It's Carlton Davis.
That's that.
The
they're
game,
both so-
they win yesterday if Carlton Davis plays. That's my opinion. I think the Lions end up winning that game. I think they gave up too many big plays to the corners. And Terrion Arnold's success, which he had a lot of it over the last 3 weeks, it's tied to Carlton Davis playing. Terrion Arnold as a number one, like you could say, oh, they should have taken Quinion Mitchell. Yeah, Quinion Mitchell gets to play with Cooper DeJean and Darius Slay and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he gets to play in a loaded defensive backfield that allows him to play free. Terrion Arnold has to play man now against, for the rest of the way, probably DJ Moore next week, whoever the Niners throw at him, whether it's Debo or Pearsall the week after that, and then Justin Jefferson to end the year. Jerry Jacobs sent out a cryptic tweet today saying you got to be ready when your number's called. So I think Jerry Jacobs is going to be back.
I figured that.
It sounds like they're going to start Melifonwu's clock this week, which is outstanding because that frees up Brian Branch to do other things. And it also sounds like Rakestraw is not far behind him. Like we could see Ennis Rakestraw before the end of the year, but like you wanted Ennis Rakestraw to be in a reserve role, right? You don't want him to be as a starter. So I don't love it. They're still in first right now. They still, and who I'm not a betting guy, but like I don't blame anyone for betting against the Lions over the next 3 weeks. But if they win the next 3 or 2 of the next 3 and the Eagles and Vikings lose 2, you still get the 1 seed. And these guys come back.
I don't know if I want them to have the 1 seed. I'd rather see them not have the 1 seed.
You like them better on the road?
I'd rather have them on the road.
You might be right.
I'm gonna be.
I'd rather have them on the road.
That's not crazy.
Okay.
That's not crazy.
I'd rather have them on the road.
I want to.
At least they can't get flat.
I want to justify.
You get that first week bye, you get flat.
I want to
period.
justify something. It's not that I think the Lions are not going to win this division. And I truly, in my heart of heart, I think that the way the offense is playing, they're gonna get the 1 seed. They're gonna get the first round bye. They're gonna get home field advantage because the upcoming schedule, they're gonna outscore Chicago. They're gonna outscore San Francisco. The only game is Minnesota. That's a big question mark. Okay. Because I don't know if defensively they can stop Minnesota just enough. I truly think they will, but there's a big glaring hole, and it's Philadelphia. And I picked the Steelers this week, but I am at a point now where I think Philadelphia is scary, and I don't know defensively.
And
what do you do
that's
with,
without even Barkley having a big game.
Well, what do you do?
Well, there
with,
can't be both. There can't be passing game, big games. And
Well,
Barkley.
I
I'm
mean,
not
we
worried-
were criticizing their passing game, and they've
And
already
it was
proved
good.
that they're
It was
more
good.
than capable of doing
I am
that.
not
good.
worried about
Yeah.
the Saquon Barkley thing. Yeah, he'll be able to run, but I am worried about Jalen Hurts. I am worried about Jalen Hurts just being able to control the game and get it to a point where it's insurmountable.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying. Because even if Philadelphia has to come to Ford Field for that NFC Championship, unless you get back something that you're not expecting to, and Aiden Hutchinson realistically isn't. You have to.
He ain't coming back.
You
You
have
guys
got
need to
figure
understand
something out.
that they're not going to risk him to try to bring him back when my man hasn't even got, like you said, an extension. Why would he want to come back and try to play what, in a Super Bowl or in a championship game? Risk his career and not even being under an extension?
I disagree.
I wouldn't do that.
No, I disagree. I think if he's healthy enough to come back and there's no injury, like if there's no risk of re-injury, they're not going to bring him back if there's a risk of re-injuring.
We just seen that happen to Dre Greenlaw.
I mean, it's a broken leg. It's not a.
the
it's
only-
not
I'm sorry?
This is just a broken.
Can I
leg,
ask
though.
you another thing? both Aleem and the Aleem thing is worrisome to me because I don't think he was ready to go yesterday. And I
Aleem?
don't think Jack Campbell is ready to go yesterday.
This is going back to his
Davis.
point. This is
Davis
going back to his
wasn't
point.
ready to
I don't.
go.
When he says I don't want to see them get the one, it's not crazy. And yeah, they had 10 days off. They had 10 days off. You can make the case that the 10 days where they should have been more prepared, they were less prepared, or they weren't ready, or they were like, it was just that little slow start that cost them the game offensively.
I know.
So you can totally make that case.
Defensively, I think they could have had a year to prepare for this, and it would have ended the same way. You are so. Yes, you were depleted going in, and by the end of that game yesterday, you did not have defensive playmakers.
At least here's the thing. Now, when I told you guys last week, the reason why the Lions were able to sign some of these guys that they signed,
because nobody else.
there was a
wanted them.
reason for it.
Yes, you saw
They
that
were
yesterday
fucking
with-
dog shit.
You
That's
saw
why.
that yesterday with Kwan Alexander, and you saw it yesterday with David Long.
Well, yeah, those are guys off the street.
Correct. They desperately need Anzalone back, and I never thought I would.
The
I never
biggest
thought I would-
biggest name that was missing yesterday
Was
was
Alex Anzalone.
was Anzalone.
because they had no Ty. It's Ty Johnson.
This is the difference between Anzalone and Quan Alexander. If you look at the first one on the first drive to Ty Johnson, which was an incredible play, Quan Alexander is in perfect coverage. The only difference is he's not using his hands. He's not using his hands. If he turns around and gets his hands up, that's not a catch. He's there step for step. He's with a running back. He looked incredible. But when you have a skilled linebacker, like it's when you get a better linebacker, you keep adding tools and you add tools. And when you have a linebacker that has a little bit of ball skills like Anzalone or Derek Barnes, when you have those guys out in coverage, you feel a little bit better. That was the biggest, like there's two areas where they really needed Anzalone yesterday. Number one, when they were getting gashed by running backs and Kincaid in coverage.
Yes.
When those guys bursted in coverage. Number two, like I've never seen in the Campbell era, I've never seen the Lions defensive line get gashed for 5 yards of carry like they
Never.
did yesterday. That changed the game. Of course, they're able. Well, one reason they're able to convert all the third and fourth downs like they did yesterday is because Josh Allen's keeping plays alive, and your corners are they're not necessarily giving up, but they weren't able to hold the coverage like they should have. Number one, and number two, because they were always on schedule. They were never sacked. There were never holding penalties. Nothing. They were all the Bills were
Their
always on
offensive line
schedule.
dominated that game.
It's been good all year. It's been
They
good all year.
dominated that line yesterday.
Both, and it wasn't just their offensive line; their defensive line also dominated the game. The only two guys on the Lions O line that played good yesterday were Decker and Sewell. That's it. The tackles. That's it. Everyone in the middle was bad yesterday. Zeitler was uncharacteristic. Probably the worst game I've seen out of Ragnow.
Agreed.
Glasgow wasn't great.
Ragnow was getting thrown around like a rag doll.
Looked old.
Ed Oliver absolutely destroyed the inside of that offensive line yesterday.
So
That I would never thought I would see.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with this team. I don't think I think the
Stop right there. I don't know where I'm at with this team. We can cut it right there. That needs to be okay right now, because anyone who says, "Oh, they're in so much trouble. They're dead in the water," or someone that says, "Oh, they're going to still win the Super Bowl," this and that. You don't know. You will not know until you see them against a Chicago team that had a really big half against you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You will not know. So no, you're not supposed to know where you're at. Like, it could look completely different. I'll say this much. Losing guys mid-game and having to adjust is much difficult than knowing that you're going to lose this guy for the next couple weeks and having to adjust. You can game plan for this. I think losing Carlton Davis killed them yesterday. Not McNeil, not Kendall Vildor or Khalil Dorsey. Losing Carlton Davis yesterday killed them. Okay? And I think if you adjust properly, you get the next man up ready, at a minimum, your defense just needs to have a serviceable game, because your offense, if it plays to its potential, can do what it did yesterday, can do what it did 2 weeks ago. It can get you those 30 points, with or without David Montgomery. I don't give a fuck about David Montgomery. With or without him, your offense can score points. So if your defense does just enough.
Agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think David Montgomery's the part that makes this engine go offensively.
I think you've been blind to how good Jahmyr Gibbs is.
I absolutely not. I know how good he is. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. When you want to line up and punch teams in the mouth, and this is what Dan Campbell's philosophy is, it's what the MO of this team has been since he's came here. Without David Montgomery, they're going to have to make a big change. They're going to have to make a big change offensively.
the loss of having to prepare for the Lions being the team that's going to try and run it down your throat is what scares me.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I'm really nervous.
Let Goff cook.
Well, that's what you're gonna have.
Let Goff cook.
That's the only answer. You have to put Goff out there, and he's gonna
Get in
throw
shotgun.
400 a game.
Get in shotgun. Let Goff cook. You have two. Vaki and Reynolds can both catch passes better
Correct.
than David Montgomery.
That's
can.
what you're gonna have.
They're,
to do.
they don't run like him up in the gaps, but you know what? You tried to run through the A, B, C gaps yesterday with
didn't
David
work.
Montgomery, and it still didn't work
I
until
know.
they lost him
What do you have? 5 carries?
because they couldn't run the ball.
All right.
It
You have
just-
5
Same with Gibbs.
What
Gibbs couldn't
happens
do
when
anything
you-
up the middle.
When you get
either.
down 14-0, they had to abandon that.
No, they abandoned the
didn't.
run up the middle yesterday because they couldn't run up the middle. None of the
They
Gibbs
had
carries.
to abandon it. 'cause
None of
that
the
ball-
all the
Gibbs
Gibbs
carries
were outside.
All the Gibbs carries were tosses to the outside, or they were passes. Even when Montgomery was making plays in the third quarter, they were they had this in the fourth quarter when they were driving the field quick. They were 1st and 20 or something like that. There was a holding penalty. They threw the ball to Montgomery, which is great, and it went to the outside. That works. That can work. You run a college offense, run a spread. If he makes mistakes, so what? If Goff throws the ball away, so what? That's how you need to beat teams for the next month.
Agreed.
You need to score points.
You don't have a choice.
Which you're capable of doing.
You don't have a choice.
And on top of that, I don't think the defense is like, I don't think it's like, oh, it's the worst in the league. It's not like that. It just needs to bend but not break. It needs to keep them in games. That was Josh Allen yesterday.
What bothered me yesterday was no adjustments defensively. You stayed in this.
I don't think I think there were adjustments that weren't working. I think
And
I think the spy didn't work.
It
Yeah.
looked
Moving the
horrible.
safeties didn't work.
looked horrible.
They should have. That's the one thing they could have maybe done better is go switch to zone.
Yeah.
I mean, all you're doing is just slowing them down from scoring in zone.
I'm gonna be honest. This is the other side of this coin. And I know you have it in here. This Josh Allen looks like God.
Yeah, we should
playing
talk
the
about
ball
that.
right now.
We should talk about that.
Dude,
he looks.
he is-
He
no, no,
looks
no,
listen,
no,
he
no.
looks good. He
He
looks
is-
really good.
He looks so fucking good.
He looked comfortable. This is what happens when you don't have any pressure on you, dude. You're
It
gonna
doesn't
look
matter.
great.
You're
Yeah,
going
it
into
does
Ford
matter.
Field against a one-loss
Yeah,
team,
it does
and he
matter.
came out and was so clean and so good. I'm sorry, he is a man on a mission, bona fide MVP.
All right, you tell me that Goff going down the stretch did not outplay him.
He did, but
So I don't want to hear that.
it came to
I'm
a point.
going to be honest with you, dude. Anybody would have looked good yesterday against them. They came out flat. They were not good. Defensively, they were awful. Glenn couldn't make any adjustments yesterday.
Well, you wanna know
Let's
something?
be honest.
You keep saying
I
the
get
thing
it. I
about
get
how-
it. I get it. You're down a bunch of guys. I understand it. I get it. But man, you got to try something else. They just stayed with it. You had a backup running back burn you for 100 yards receiving in a quarter and a half. What the fuck are you doing?
Dude, they don't
What the
have
fuck
anybody
are
to
you doing?
adjust.
Then why is a linebacker
nobody
on him?
left to
Why is
adjust.
there a fucking linebacker on him? Put another nickel in. Put another safety in. Vaki can play safety. Let him cover these motherfuckers. What are you doing? What are you doing? What the fuck?
I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead. The running back position killed the Lions yesterday.
It did.
Killed them.
And the tight end.
All
They
three
had
of them.
no answer.
all,
the tight end.
all three
All
of the
three
all
back.
three running backs. Do you remember a stretch, a 2-game? It's just a 2-game. We'll give you a small window, which makes it more difficult. But do you remember a 2-game stretch in NFL history like what Josh Allen's done over the last 2
No,
weeks?
I don't. And
Yeah, great. He scored fucking 40-some points a game. They've also given up 40
Yeah,
points a game.
that's true.
They're fucking
That's
defense-
not a recipe
their
to win.
defense is not
It's
that
not a
great.
recipe
hold
to
on.
win.
I agree. Their defense has allowed 42 points in the last 2 games. They beat Kansas City. They've put up 30-plus points in the last 8.
Okay.
They're
They're still behind the Lions as far as yards per game. So
what he is
I don't-
doing, what he is doing is what he is doing is good enough to win the Bills the Super Bowl if their defense, which isn't plagued by injury the way the Lions is, they have a couple guys banged up, but if their defense can actually play,
they've got everybody back. What do you mean banged up?
no, they were missing. They
Who?
missed 3 guys yesterday.
Rasul
Who?
Douglas.
Rasul Douglas. There's
Okay.
3 guys they missed.
No one
I
I'm
don't know
gonna
the
cry
names
about.
off the top of my head.
Hold on. No one I'm going to cry about.
I agree. If their defense can get a couple of stops, they are good enough to win the Super Bowl. just like the Lions are.
I think they've given up. They've scored 40 in back-to-back weeks and looked spectacular doing it, but they've also given up 40 in back-to-back
Agreed.
weeks, and their defenses look bad doing it. And I think that they're in for a route. Pittsburgh ain't giving up more than 25 to Josh Allen.
I don't know about that.
Kansas City didn't give up more than how much to Josh Allen?
31.
31. Okay, that's a big one. No, I think Pittsburgh can hold them in check. You'll learn a lot about them. They play 3 good defenses down the stretch. They go Patriots, Jets, Patriots. So
There you go.
you'll learn a lot. I don't think. Listen, I'm high on the Bills. I'm high on. I think what I don't think I've ever seen a 2-game stretch. Well, historically, we haven't seen a 2-game stretch out of this, but Uncle Sam's not wrong. Like it is a talking point that their defense is also bad because they cannot sustain this and they can't win this. They're not beating Philly this way.
They're basically doing exactly
Pittsburgh.
what the Lions are doing.
Houston, they're not
They're
beating
doing-
some of
they're
these
doing
teams
what the
this
Lions
way.
are doing. I said this earlier in the year. The only way the Lions are going to win is scoring over 30 points a game. Okay?
You
And
can't
guess what?
sustain it
They
though.
just gave up 40.
You can't
46,
sustain it.
48.
At
I
some
mean-
point, their defense has to click.
Exactly.
Got to.
Exactly.
I need to see more of the Bills and maybe it will, right? Maybe Matt Milano comes back and plays well.
He is playing.
Maybe I think he left the game yesterday though.
Okay.
He left the game.
I seen him playing.
Rasul Douglas.
I mean,
Maybe these guys come back and they do look good and Von Miller captures some
yeah, but
captures some hearts.
they're
but-
not over here playing fucking 3rd and 4th string guys. They're playing fucking backups. They're not playing fucking 3rd and 4th string guys.
You're talking about against Detroit.
Yeah.
Eventually in the AFC, they're going to cross a really like the AFC, the offense is in the NFC, the defense is in the AFC, and eventually they're
Listen,
going to cross a good
their
defense.
defense was missing what? Rasul Douglas? He's a starter? That's the only starter they were fucking missing.
They got gashed
Milano's playing,
in back-to-back
everybody's
weeks.
playing. There's
In
no
back-to-back
excuse.
weeks, they got gashed.
Exactly.
In back-to-back weeks, they look very bad.
Matt
It's
Stafford
a story.
absolutely lit
It's
them up.
a story to keep an eye on. It's a
Yep.
story to keep an eye on because you've been saying, the road through the Super Bowl goes through Arrowhead.
It does.
Not anymore.
This defense,
does.
this defense scares me going to Arrowhead. If that's the defense,
How many losses does the Buffalo Bills have? 3?
3.
3? How many does Kansas City have?
1.
Go to the Super Bowl, goes through Kansas City.
Yes. Doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
He's gonna miss the next 4, so they better hope they get that first
He
round
ain't
bye.
going to miss any.
High ankle sprain. 4 weeks.
Bet you he doesn't miss any time. I know.
listen,
Give me a hobble
typically,
I know the
That team's
Patty
not winning
Mahomes
with a hobble
MO.
ball.
typically I would agree with you, but they're about to play 3 in 11 days. He's got to miss one of those games. He has to miss one of
Who's
those
their
games.
next game? No, their next game is against somebody good.
Yeah,
Houston?
Pittsburgh.
I think it's Pittsburgh.
They play Houston or
Houston.
Pittsburgh?
They play Houston next week.
Houston, Pittsburgh on Christmas.
Yep.
So 4 days later,
Which game is at home?
I think Pittsburgh on Christmas is
no,
at home.
it's at Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
They play Houston at home.
Okay.
And week 18, they play Denver in Denver.
So
I bet he's
Houston
back for
has to
Pittsburgh.
go to KC this week.
Yes.
He won't play that game. He'll
They'll
play
lose.
the Pittsburgh game,
And they'll
and then
lose.
they'll play the next game.
And they'll lose.
They won't.
And
You could say that they haven't lost, dude. They should have lost that game yesterday, then, right?
Here's the
they
problem.
should have lost that. No,
Here's the problem.
yesterday's the first definitive win the Chiefs have had all year.
You could say they're going to lose a game. They can lose 2, or they can lose 1.
Jameis
They can
got
lose
that.
one
Lose
game.
one.
They can lose one game,
They can lose
and maybe
one.
they will. Maybe they will.
They will. They will.
What if Carson Wentz comes in and just rips it up?
Yep.
What if?
That's all him right there.
Hi, motherfuckers.
Is
All right, are
there
we-
any? Hold on. Is there any expectation change at all right now?
For the Lions? Yeah, 100%. 100%. They had 4 catastrophic injuries, but let the chips fall. All their goals are still in front of them. Every single goal is still in front of them. We don't know. We truly don't know. We're just saying if X, then Y. If their defense is this depleted, then they can't do this. We don't know that. Or they could get pumped the next 3 weeks. They can get destroyed the next 3 weeks. Maybe that happens. I'm just telling you, you need to let the chips fall so we know for certain. Because this offense, every time this has happened, like first things first, Campbell's they haven't lost back-to-back games since the beginning of 2022. That's the first narrative I'm keying
I don't
in
think
on.
they're going to lose another game the rest of the year.
Then that gets you the 1 seed.
I agree.
And these guys do come back. Anzalone comes back. Rakestraw comes back. Melifonwu comes back. There's a very good chance that Jalen Reeves-Maben comes back in the playoffs. There's a chance Kaminsky and Hutchinson come back in the playoffs. Like, these guys are coming back soon. So I'm not gonna get worked up and get in a tizzy until I see the product on the field. Because half of the product was really good yesterday. Half of the product was bad, and I don't think the injuries were the reason why the defense was bad yesterday. I think they just weren't prepared. They got punched in the mouth, and they couldn't recover. And that's fine. I'm happy they lost a game. I wanted them to lose a game because you do not want to be too hot to do this. Kansas City lost to the Raiders on Christmas last year. Never lost again.
On the road. They went on the road and didn't lose again.
In the playoffs on the road.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? You should take your Lions hat off and put a Chiefs hat on.
Whatever,
I
dude.
agree with everybody on TikTok that said you're a band. You just
All you fuckers on TikTok are nothing but little Chinese sheep.
listen.
Chinese sheep. That's all you
Boogeyman
are.
plays. Uncle Sam's turning
all
into
you
Chris
are.
Collinsworth. Yeah, you just love to sit there and look at
Who?
Pat Mahomes in his tight spandex
dude.
pants.
Listen, Patty Mahomes is going to do his little dance this week for you guys. And he's going to come back, and they're going to be like, oh, my God. You know what? It's the greatest thing since Willis Reed came back in to play for the Knicks in 72.
Game 7 at the Garden.
The fuck, dude? Really, dude?
Let's move on.
Patty
Anybody have
Mahomes,
anything else on that?
fake injuries.
No, I think we did a good job.
Okay.
Dog shit.
Packers headed to Seattle to play the Seahawks. Packers come out on top 30-13.
Convincing win.
Against Geno Smith left this game with an injury. It was the Sam Howell show. And Sam Howell didn't show us all that much.
He hasn't played. He hasn't played in, what, 2 years?
He was 5 for 14 with a pick.
Yeah.
Where are we at on the Seahawks if Geno Smith misses time?
Well,
Bad.
go ahead.
Bad. You go.
Obviously, Zach Charbonnet is not what we thought he was. The week prior to that, he looked good. Yesterday, he was dog shit. So, I mean, it is what it
He
is.
only got 8 carries.
It's dog shit.
He averaged
Dog
7
shit.
yards per carry in his 8 carries, dude.
Dog shit.
Okay.
Dog shit.
Dog shit.
Non-factor.
Love it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm out on Seattle. I'm leaning towards out on Seattle with or without Geno Smith. Without Geno Smith, they're done. I mean, they're
you
so
put a fork
dead,
in him
dude.
if he's out.
You can put a fork in him. The Rams are hot. Rams are playing good football.
Smith and Jigma caught 10 balls yesterday for 99 yards.
Guy's so good.
He is-
Guy caught 10
guy is
balls yesterday.
so
did,
good.
Did everything he could do.
He's getting better every
And,
week, too.
Well, hopefully Gino doesn't miss that many games because without him, they're done.
There were some really good wide receivers at Ohio State over the last 5 years. Like, there was a point in time, and by the way, none of them beat Michigan. There was a point in time where it was Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Ibuka, Garrett Wilson were all on the same team.
And what part are we going to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably not the best receiver to come out of this class?
I'll tell you that
At
today.
what point are we going to say
I'll look you in the eye right now and tell you he's the 4th best pass catcher in this class. I'll be happy to do
Yeah.
that for you. I'll be happy to
Yeah.
do
What?
that for you.
Bowers, Brian Thomas,
Bowers, Brian Thomas, Lab McConkey.
McConkey. Would you put
I
it up
think
and say it again?
Neighbors has been better than him this year.
Needs to be healthy. He's not.
I know.
I
It's-
think
was still better than Harrison
Neighbors is
yesterday.
right
I agree.
there. I think it goes Bowers, Thomas, and Neighbors, to be honest with you. And we said this. We said this coming out, that we kind of knew that Harrison was not going to be what everybody thought he was going to be.
And I still think he's
We
really
said-
good. I still think Marvin Harrison's outstanding.
But
It's
you
just,
know what?
something's not
Do
clicking
you
there.
watch him? Do you watch him, actually watch him?
His body
It's like
language sucks.
His body language
Sucks.
tells you that this guy, and listen, you say what you want to say about Randy Moss, by the way, get well soon. Say what you want to say about Randy Moss, Mr. I didn't like the practice and all that other shit. But when it come game time, dude, he give you everything. Give you everything he had.
You said something interesting. You said this was a convincing Packers win. What makes you say that?
Because they beat a good team. I thought they beat a really good team. I mean, Seattle's defense has been really good the past, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I mean, they've been really good.
Yeah.
But the last 3 weeks, they've been solid, dude.
I'm not ready to sit there and say it was a very convincing win for Green Bay.
I'm in the middle.
I thought so.
I'm in the middle. I think this is a good win. I think they beat a good team
They
on the
punched
road.
Seattle in the mouth early too.
I think they beat a good team on the road. I don't think this was convincing. Like their competition is Detroit, it's Minnesota, it's Philly, and then the
I thought
Rams.
that was a convincing win for them. They needed it.
Do you think they did enough yesterday to beat Detroit, Minnesota, Philly,
obviously not.
or I'll put the Rams in there even.
Obviously
I'm willing to put the
Rams
Rams in.
hot.
Oh, and Tampa. Tampa needs to be in that conversation. We'll get there. I don't think this Packers team has it. I think they're going to lose to Minnesota when they play.
I thought it was a good win for them, dude. Going forward, they needed this.
It was a good win,
Yep.
but I don't know if they have I don't see a
Dude,
run. I don't see a run in them.
Listen,
I don't see a run.
they're in category 2. They're in category.
Listen, they're going to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
They're
In
going
the
to make the
hunt.
playoffs.
Yeah, and they're gonna
probably
get punched in the
bounced.
dick by Tampa.
They're
week.
probably going to get bounced by either Tampa
Yeah.
or somebody.
I think Tampa and the Rams, which is probably who they would draw, would pump them.
Agreed, without question. Agreed.
Tampa looked good yesterday.
We'll get there.
Should we just go? Let's go there.
We'll get there.
Let's go there. Where are we? We gotta go way down. Tampa. Did they go to SoFi? Was Tampa at
They
SoFi?
did.
Yep.
Tampa
They
went
did.
to SoFi to play the Chargers. They come out on top 40-17. Mike Evans now top 25 receiver of all time. The Bucks pretty much planted their flag in the NFC South yesterday because now they're 2 games up on Arizona. On Atlanta. I'm sorry. Both A's. I get confused sometimes. And that was a very convincing win for me for Tampa against a pretty damn good team, a Chargers team that's a playoff team that we're all high on. Baker was 22 for 27 for 288 with 4 touchdowns and a pick. That's a very, very nice day from him.
Guy's cooking.
He's cooking.
Guy is absolutely cooking.
I tell you what, I thought Herbert looked pretty good yesterday.
Herbert had a good second half.
I thought he looked good.
He had a good second half.
Listen, they were pretty one-dimensional.
Good first half.
They were pretty one-dimensional because they haven't been the same team since Dobbins gone down. But I thought they played pretty well,
They're having
and
a
they
lot
they
of
lost
struggles.
convincingly. That's what blew my mind.
They're having a lot of struggles running the football, and you know
Yeah.
what? The inexperience and the greenness of the Chargers showed yesterday, especially defensively. It did.
Yeah.
Because when Tampa decided to turn on the Jets, they were able to do pretty much whatever they wanted. You gotta start to give Tampa a big nod now because they're gonna win that division.
Yep.
Atlanta's cooked, in my opinion. We can go over it before we end today. I think that we're pretty set on playoffs.
Let's say there is that hypothetical where the Lions are in shamble and Philly's overrated, like I think. Tampa is a very legitimate candidate to win the NFC,
They beat Philly and Detroit.
and they beat Philly and Detroit.
Right now, I would put them third.
Fair.
I'll put them above Minnesota. I am more convinced by Tampa than Minnesota.
I'm just saying I would not be shocked to see Tampa in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't be shocked. That's all.
Those are bold statements there.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not picking them to do it. I'm just saying I like if it happened, I'd go.
Where does this leave us with the Chargers now? The Chargers are they're still in the 7 seed. More likely than not, they probably will make the playoffs because the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are all 2 games behind them. But is there any world where you could see Chargers dropping
Who do they play next?
3 games and somehow sneaking themselves out of a playoff spot?
Who's the Chargers play next?
The Chargers going forward have I think they play
Broncos at home,
Broncos.
at Patriots, at Raiders.
Yeah, they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose
Wow.
three of those.
Yeah,
Well, Max Crosby's out for the season.
They win 2 of
he's
the
having that
3,
foot
maybe
surgery.
even. I didn't even think Denver looked that convincing.
Denver
yesterday.
did not look that convincing yesterday.
But that doesn't mean something's not off with the Chargers because, in my opinion, you guys, Uncle Sam said it last week. I think they're greatly affected by losing Dobbins. I can see it. And it helped getting McConkey back yesterday. It kind of just ran into Tampa, which is a buzzsaw. So I'm curious to see how they look around down the stretch. The good news for the Chargers is every team that's battling with them also lost yesterday. So they have that going for them. Like they didn't lose ground on anyone.
Right.
But you could have gained ground, which would have been nice.
And for the record, just because this is the one that I guess is still up in the air, Miami plays Frisco, the Browns,
No.
and the Jets.
So we could quit with that.
Why?
Miami's done. dude.
Miami.
Put a fork in.
Well,
that,
they're mathematically, they're one of the ones.
Okay.
It's Miami, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis.
And how many games behind are they?
2.
2? Yeah, they're done.
2.
They're done.
Indy has Tennessee, the Giants, and Jacksonville
Okay.
These teams would all need the Chargers
to lose 2.
to lose 2, and they're not going to lose 2.
Right.
They're not going to lose 2. They're not going to lose to the Raiders. They're not going to lose to the Patriots. They're not going to do that. Because one thing the Chargers have been doing all year is winning the games that they're supposed to win.
Yeah. But I'm not nearly as scared as of the Chargers as I was.
No. But the
Dude.
future's bright.
Future is bright. The future's very bright. Moving down, let's go Cardinals Patriots. Arizona comes out on top of this one, 30-17. Trey McBride has not caught a touchdown pass this year and almost has 1,000 yards receiving. Statistically, minus the touchdowns, he's having one of the best tight end seasons that we've really ever seen.
With poor quarterback play, too.
Yeah. And you want to know something? I actually had a question about what happened. What happened with Arizona? Because we were all, I'm pretty sure there was a week where we all said they were going to win the division.
We thought they were.
They just didn't manage. They have a last place schedule, and they managed it. They're the opposite of the Chargers. They didn't manage it well at all. Like, this division was totally, and still is, up for the taking. The Cardinals just choked away. I mean, look at all the close games that they choked. They choked some games at the very end.
Oh, I know.
They choked against the Chargers, I believe, on Monday night. They choked against the Rams at one point. Like, they've choked some really close games, and that's the difference between making the playoffs or not.
What's the consensus on Kyler Murray? Because there was a 4-game stretch where we thought he was an MVP candidate, and now we're not there.
You need to go out of your way. This is your last shot next year. You need to go out of your way to make sure he doesn't flame out. If that means completely revamping your offensive line, which they've spent first-round picks on.
So what do you think
resources.
Jonathan Gannon does at this point if they can't do anything going forward?
He's
What do
gonna.
you- what do you
Kyler's
do?
gonna get a year.
What do you do?
Well, Gannon's job is tied to Kyler now.
Correct.
So if Kyler goes,
It's
right,
not his guy.
it's
He
they're
didn't
gonna go
draft him,
together. But
not his guy.
But he's still like we've seen Kyler Murray play a very high. This is the problem that's plagued him is the inconsistencies.
Correct.
So you
At
need to
what
find
point-
a hole
at
in
what
the inconsistencies, how to fix that.
It just doesn't look. It looks good sometimes, and then sometimes it looks awful. It's not consistent at all. It's bad.
It's not the point that you're
They're
asking.
beating teams that they should beat.
It's not this year. It's not this year. Like you need to see what he looks like with everything clicking. Like you
Right.
need to make sure he's the problem. He probably is the problem right now. They can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from though. You're probably right.
At what point do you say, you know what, we're not going to be able to win with this guy? I mean, it took the Detroit Lions 11 years to figure it out. At what point do you move on?
I have a flip side of that coin.
Go ahead.
One Patriots question. Their 3 remaining games are at Buffalo, at home against the Chargers, and at home against Buffalo. I think we'd safely assume they lose all 3 of those, correct? Unless
I don't
Buffalo
know about that. Unless Buffalo sits all their starters.
sits
that
everybody
last-
in Week 18.
Yeah, that last week of the season.
So if that's the case, 2 things. 1, does Gerard Mayo keep his job?
Yeah. They said he's probably coming back, and I don't think there's been enough to blame him this year. And if your goal this year is to make Drake May look competent and then to show signs defensively, like there's signs. There's signs that could
I think they have talent there with him. I do. I think you need to really give him help.
Drake, you know about Drake May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need
T.
to give,
Higgins.
you need to give him some real weapons.
Travis Hunter.
Huh?
T. Higgins and Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Do you think that weapon will be Heisman winner?
I mean, who's picking first?
The
The
Giants.
Giants?
Now it's the Giants, Raiders, and then the
Giants,
Patriots.
Raiders. Well, obviously the Giants need quarterback. Raiders need quarterback.
So Travis Hunter to the Patriots.
So Travis Hunter would have to go to the Patriots. If he doesn't go there, I mean,
McMillan.
nothing else
Arizona.
really makes sense, though.
No, they need a receiver.
Yeah.
They need a receiver.
Hey, O-line, bad.
They need an lineman.
Bad. They need line, dude. If I was them, I wouldn't even look at any skill players till that line is fixed.
Moving on. Jets played the Jaguars, and the New York Jets got a win. Round of applause for Uncle Sam there. Round of applause. His Jets finally pick up a W against Mac Jones in the Jacksonville Jaguars, 32-25. You think Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are going to run this thing back? In your heart of hearts, what do you think?
I think so. I think you'll see them both there next year.
You do.
Yeah.
In the Jets green, gang green,
Correct.
back to run
Correct.
it again.
Well, they're going to have a new GM. They're obviously going to bring in some different talent. I think they need to bring an OC in, but that's my personal opinion. Somebody that's not friends with Aaron Rodgers.
Can I just say I love the annual tradition of the Jets sabotaging their draft stock after their season's already been obliterated? It's a tale as old as
Yeah.
time.
I don't think they're going to come back.
Adams is back.
I think Adams is back. Yeah, I don't think Aaron Rodgers.
Again, Aaron Rodgers hasn't decided if he's playing. If he does, it's going to be there, right? And I think that's if you're the Jets, if you're Woody Johnson, you need to focus all resources right now into making sure Aaron Rodgers looks like Tom Brady.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the fucking issue right now.
What is?
Their defense. Their defense.
defense is awful.
Their defense. I don't know how you take a defense with that many skilled players on it and then turn to dog shit within fucking 10 games. I don't understand it. You know what? They weren't right from the beginning of the year. When they came out in the beginning of the year, they weren't good then either.
Right.
They haven't been that dominant defense that they were last year with the same personnel. So I don't understand it. Don't get it. I can't answer the question. But you know what? We've seen other teams do that too.
But you want to know what? Even if they do run it back, they're a 6-win team again next year.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Not
They were
like
your
the
Super Bowl pick.
I
much talent.
like Braylon Allen. I like I like what they have there, dude. They have a lot of talent.
Maybe they'll
there's
bring
too much
Braxton
talent.
Berrios.
They have two.
There's too much talent.
There's two very good receivers there.
Maybe they'll bring Braxton Berrios. and they'll
I
put him on the
mean,
edge.
I'm telling you right now, man. They're
Jordy Nelson.
okay.
Maybe they'll go out and get Jordy Nelson, Clay Matthews. He'll
Keep talking
revitalize the
shit.
defense.
Keep talking shit.
Yeah. The other side of the coin,
Yeah.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm floored by how good this guy is. And if it wasn't for Brock Bowers, would we be talking about him more? Or because Brock
think
Bowers
so.
it seems like just put every other
Well,
rookie out
I
of
mean,
the
rookie
equation.
rookie of the year outside of Brock Bowers and Brian Thomas, who should really win it?
I'm moving Brian Thomas after yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm moving Brian Thomas ahead of Jaden Daniels now. So it's for me, it's Knicks. Then it's now close between Bowers and Thomas. I have Brian Thomas in 3
Yeah.
leagues. He's a league winner if you have him in fantasy football. You probably are winning your league. I don't think I've ever seen he's a guy now. Like there's guys that buck whoever's throwing the ball to him. CeeDee Lamb proved it to me yesterday. CeeDee Lamb is now a guy that's quarterback proof. Doesn't matter who's quarterback, he's going to rip it up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Devontae Adams, doesn't matter who his quarterback is, he's going to rip you up. Brock Bowers is doing that this year.
Who's proved it more than him?
Brian Thomas right now is taking Mac Jones balls and going 10 yards after catch every time.
But
a lot of the
what
time in the red zone.
I think what he's doing is great. But I mean, who's had the least to work with? Brock Bowers. I mean, come on.
I agree. I mean,
He's had the least to
Bad
work with.
quarterbacks.
And look what he's done.
but also he's the only thing there that's worth a damn.
Well, still, I mean, you've seen a guy come in. He's going to play 18 games, solid games, and he's already broken all the records. I don't know what you could say.
So
To me, he's the rookie of the year.
Brian Thomas is now, after this week, and of course we have a couple games to play, he is wide receiver. He's behind Jamar Chase in half-point PPR standard scoring. Jamar Chase is 1, Amon-Ra 2 after his abomination yesterday, 200 yards and 2 TDs. He was good. CD is 3, same thing, backup quarterback. Justin Jefferson's 4, same thing, backup quarterback. 5 is Terry McLaurin, who also, it hasn't really mattered who's thrown to him over the years.
True.
Brian Thomas is 6th as a rookie, with Mac Jones throwing him the ball, dropping 2 TDs in week 15. I don't know what more you could say. Like, it's if Brian Thomas tears it up over the next 3 weeks and the other guys are just par, right? There's a scenario where the only guy maybe I'm questioning, like, as Bo Nix took a step back yesterday, the only guy I'm maybe questioning over Brian Thomas is Brock Bowers right now. What Brian Thomas is doing is incredible. This reminds me of when Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson got drafted, same draft, or no, were they a year apart? They may have been a year apart.
Yeah.
Either way, same team. Everyone was talking about Jamar Chase. Everyone was talking about Malik Neighbors. Same team. But they also had another teammate in Justin Jefferson and Brian Thomas when they were on the same team that could be just as good, if not better. And I think Brian Thomas is like the next big thing in this league.
I agree.
He is electric. He looks like Kelvin Johnson. He literally looks like Kelvin Johnson to me. Incredible. And the Lions almost drafted him, by the way. Not that looking back on it, they don't need him, but he's really good, and that's a piece in the future going forward in Jacksonville. Like that's going to make some people pretty happy there.
Moving on. Texans played the Dolphins. Houston comes out on top 20-12. Do we have to start questioning Mike McDaniel as head coach?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's 3-15 against teams with winning records.
I would say that's pretty shitty.
That's pretty shitty.
What is he gonna? He's gonna give you the I've missed Tua for almost a full year, and then how many games? 6 games this year.
Well,
So he's gonna give you the I didn't have a quarterback fucking scenario.
I have another end of that. When do we start
Go
bringing
ahead.
question Tua?
What do you mean?
When?
Tua was on a heater before that. This is the problem.
Tua doesn't win big games.
Uh,
Tua does not win big games.
He didn't.
The
He did
biggest
in
games,
college.
He shits in the NFL.
He did in college.
He shits the bed. In every big game Tua's played in, he shits the bed.
But that also goes hand in hand with his head coach.
That's true. The 3 picks yesterday were not cute from him, and I don't think. Mike
listen,
McDaniel or
the
Tua-
2 that Stingley had, that's just great coverage, dude.
You gotta stop throwing Derek Stingley's way, brother.
on a elite receiver.
By the way, I'm extremely pleased that we're now starting to see, like, because people talk Sauce Gardner up for 2 years, and I've been saying, nah, he wasn't even the best quarterback in this draft. And now you're seeing that Derek Stingley could be the premier corner in the NFL and is the best corner in that draft. Derek Stingley's, there aren't words to describe. Here we go. Here's me gushing over an LSU guy again. There aren't words to describe what Derek Stingley has done this year. Is there a better cornerback in the league this year than Derek Stingley?
Probably not.
Yeah. And
Playing-
when you
playing
do
better?
throw at him,
Probably not.
when you do throw at him,
He's gonna get the pick.
yesterday was your yield.
Yeah.
Absurdly good. Like, there aren't words to describe how good he is, in my opinion. Sorry. I was gushing over
No,
there.
I agree. Stingley has looked absolutely fantastic so far. Did this do anything for you with Houston? Because I still think offensively it was a very lackluster Houston performance against a ailing Dolphins team, and I'm still not convinced that Houston is a very good football team.
Well, I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. That's for sure. They'll be there. Depending on where they go and how far they go is up to that offense. They got to get their shit together.
Zola, where are you at with Houston?
I'm still not seeing it. I think they just beat a mediocre team yesterday. I think that's all that was.
I agree.
I'll say this much. It wasn't great. Like, he didn't break 200 yards, if I remember correctly, but Stroud looked a little better yesterday against a weak defense, but Stroud looked a little bit better, and it was good to see Nico Collins rip a little bit yesterday.
Agreed.
But no, they don't.
They're not world beaters by any means.
If they play Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, who you taking? Those are two teams that have had a little bit of a lull right now. Who you taking? And it's in Houston. It would be in Houston. Who are you taking?
I'm probably going to take the Chargers.
I think I'm taking the Chargers right now
I know.
because that's the.
I think that defense for Houston's pretty damn good.
The defense, yes, but I don't know if I
It's
don't.
their
the
offense that's the
is
problem.
just- and it's so odd to think from last year to this year.
Yeah, their
Where
offense
was
was
the drop?
scary last year. Yeah.
Andrew in the chat says Houston, we have a problem. Am I right?
I would have to agree with you, Andrew.
I
Also, there's
think they look pretty good.
I wanna s-
Defensively, they lead the league in sacks.
defensively, yes,
I
I
mean-
agree with you.
They're going to be hard to beat, dude. Them defensive teams are hard to beat.
Um,
You seen that yesterday.
We need to go back through these comments. There's a lot of Lions fans in there giving us opinions. I will take time to go through that after. I'm not leaving you guys out for dead. Next up, the Bengals play the Tennessee Titans. There was some noise after the game about Joe Burrow on the sideline talking about how embarrassing yesterday was for them, and there was somebody who caught a snippet of him saying, "Just send me to Seattle."
Okay.
So, not thrilled, Joe Burrow. Not thrilled with the way the season's going. But Chase Brown's been on quite the tear lately. Are we ready to give this guy some respect? Think Chase
Well,
Brown
I
could
think
be a
we've been
top
giving
10
him
guy?
respect for the last 3 weeks.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is he a top 10 running back in the league?
Is he right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is he?
Well, no,
I-
in your
I-
opinion. Do you
I-
think he's a top 10 guy?
I think
Yeah.
he is.
You know what? At the beginning of the year, I was like, I don't think this guy deserves the job, and I was wrong. He's
You
proved
don't-
he can handle it.
You don't look at them right now and thinking, damn, they missed Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
That is true.
You just don't.
I would say yes and no.
Here's the running backs I'm taking over at the moment that I'm taking over Chase Brown. Bijan, Derrick Henry, Saquon. I'm not taking Joe Mixon right now over Chase Brown. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
He was hot early in the year, and he's kind of cooled off.
Yep.
Jacobs.
That whole
Josh
offense.
Jacobs, I am.
Offense.
Jameer Gibbs, I am. I'll give the edge to Achan. Kieran Williams, I will. Kamara, I will. That might be it.
James Conner.
No.
James Cook.
No.
Chuba Hubbard.
Nope.
Wow.
I think Chase Hill is that, or Chase, I'm sorry. I think Chase Brown is that good. Watching him,
Tracy.
Chase Brown, I think Chase Brown's utilization is perfect. The way they put him out in, like, he'll chip block and then he'll go out and catch like a 5-yard in. I am so into it. The utilization's incredible. And I think that's one of the reasons why Burrows looks so good this year is because of Chase Brown. Not that Burrow wasn't good, but I think one of the reasons Burrow is so dialed this year is because of Chase Brown. You know, and it's just opening up the rest of the offense because it's a threat. You know, like if the play breaks down, he's always sitting there. That's my 2 cents.
Do you think the Will Levis era is done in Tennessee?
Do I think it's done?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you said that convincing. No. Like, I asked you an insane
I
question.
don't think you can blame Will Levis. for
Oh,
fucking-
God.
Dude, this guy runs for his life. He's fought on everything.
He's just
Their offensive line
garbage,
is
bro.
Not good, dude.
Yeah, but he is garbage. He's
You
garbage.
said that about a lot of guys.
Like who? Like who? Dude, Mason Rudolph came in and outplayed him. Mason Rudolph came in and outplayed him, dude.
I think Will Levis might be toast. on this
Will
year.
Levis is done.
Which is a shame because I do think he's pretty good, but it's
I
not a
don't
good
think it's all
situation.
The problems that they're having there.
It's not, but he also doesn't look good. And I can
Dog shit.
You know who would look good here? Like there actually is gonna be free agent quarterbacks in this class. There's one that stands out to me if he doesn't get extended where he currently is. You know who it is? Who I think would look outstanding here?
Geno Smith.
Sam Darnold.
I agree. That was yep, I agree. Sam Darnold, I could see Sam Darnold being a Titan next year.
Depending on how deep Sam Darnold takes the Vikings, he might be back there next
Might
year.
be.
No
Agreed.
chance. No chance.
I agree.
No,
I do.
I don't.
I do. Depending on how far he can take them, I think.
So they get a first round playoff exit. He ain't back, bro.
No, he's not.
He ain't back.
If he goes on a run though, like if he goes to the NFC Championship game, well, hold on. They moved on from Case Keenum after he did the same thing.
Yeah, but Case Keenum was. Come on, dude.
Well, it's the same. It's the same barometer. Case Keenum was having a very similar year. He started out 10-1.
Great year, and as soon as he got into the playoffs, he could throw for 100 yards a game. That's the difference.
I hope.
I'll bet you San Francisco wish they never got rid of him, dude. They could have really used him about right now.
Next up, the Broncos and the Colts faced off in a game where the Colts could have made up some ground to try and jump into a wild card spot. Ultimately, Denver comes out on top 31-13. What do the Colts need to do? Because I'm kind of at a loss. You took Anthony Richardson out. He came back in. He did a little shuck and jive. And here we are now against the playoff caliber talent.
I was listening to a list of his passer ratings, and my man can't even hit 50%.
It was 36 yesterday.
It was pretty fucking bad. It's been bad all year.
He was 17 for 38 for 170 yards and 2 picks.
You guys are being really mean to my.
Can I?
You're being really mean
Been
to
bad
my
all
fantasy
year.
quarterback.
I
I started him yesterday.
It's been bad all year.
I'm gonna be honest. I
He had
think
a couple
Anthony
good
Rich-
games.
I think Anthony Richardson might.
Dude, he's had one good game. One good game. He was at 66%.
It was a good game, that one game.
I'm giving you numbers there. This is what you like. Look
Yeah,
at the rest of the games.
It's clearly not working.
Fucking awful.
It's clearly not
you
working.
think he's out of a job?
I think they had no because it's too much an investment. So not this year, maybe next year. But I think there's too many offensive skill players that aren't touching the ball there as well, which I think is a major problem. And yeah, that's on him. That's also on the play calling. You also have your starting running back, your Pro Bowl running back, dropping the ball at the 1 yard line, which I always love. Yeah, I mean it's close. So that's your off season. Is you need to. There are some make or break off seasons for some of these young quarterbacks, and he is at or near the top of the list.
Did you know in 8 games where he had more than 9 completions, he in 5 of the 9 he has a passer rating under 50.
It's fucking horrible.
That ain't great.
That's horrible.
That is not good.
Does he have more picks than
Those
touchdowns?
are
too?
Jamarcus Russell numbers right there, dude.
5,
Fuck.
6, 7, 10, 11. He has 11 picks in passing touchdowns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
That's not good.
Not good. Not good.
This is what I know. We were talking at the beginning of the year, and I still think he should have sat behind Flacco. That was my opinion, and learned how to play the fucking position. And I think throwing to the Wolves was probably the worst thing they could have done with him. That was just my opinion. Everybody else disagreed with me at the time, and it is what it is.
Do you think that Ashton Genty would look good in a Broncos uniform?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think you look at it in just about any uniform.
Yes.
The Broncos, as of late, have just been a hodgepodge of whoever's going to run the ball, and nobody can get going and all of the
Well,
above. I think a bell cow guy like Genty there would be incredible.
You need to understand something that Denver's run game has always been printed behind the offensive line and what those guys do in their zone blocking schemes. They've been doing that for decades over there, and that they can plug anybody in and then be successful. And they've done that for the most part with guys that aren't really top tier guys.
I don't think they could go on a run in the playoff. Well, I'm not expecting them to go on a run in the playoffs with a rookie running back, but I don't think they could make an actual move in the playoffs with this current running game. It's bad. Bo Nix was their leading rusher yesterday, if my math is correct.
You are correct.
It ain't good. So that's something that needs to be
And Indy's
addressed in
defense
offseason.
actually played their ass off in that game.
Who did? Indies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Bo Nix throw the ball away 3 times, 3
Yeah.
picks? But I think he also had 3 touchdowns, all in the third quarter.
3 picks, 3 touchdowns, 23 yards rushing. He did lead the team.
Yeah. They need a running back.
They need a running back.
And Ashton Genty would look very good there.
And he already has the fan base there. I'm pretty sure Denver's probably the closest pro team to Boise, isn't it?
It's not far from there.
It's like being at home. Next up, Chiefs played the Browns. Chiefs win 21-7. Uncle Sam seems to think that Mahomes isn't really injured and it's all hearsay, correct?
And his injuries are not as detrimental as people think.
Oh, why?
I just think he kind of overacts him. That's just my opinion.
So he's LeBron James.
Basically,
Yeah, typical. You support
Yeah.
all the actors.
that's what happens when
He was
you
diagnosed with a
Run by
high
China.
ankle sprain. It is now considered week to week. My opinion is on the Mahomes injury. My instant reaction was this Chiefs team will not win a game without him. I'm sorry. This is the first. I'm pretty sure this is one of 3 games they've won by more than 7 points this year, and it was against your beloved 30-30 in the Cleveland Browns. So, without Mahomes,
30-30 was ripping it yesterday.
without
He
Mahomes,
got benched. He got benched for Dorian Thompson Robinson.
There's a theory that it's going to happen going forward too. They haven't.
30-30's done.
Stefanski hasn't committed to a quarterback for this week,
My-
which is usually an indicator.
Listen, 30-30 has vision issues.
Kansas City's not winning a game without Mahomes. Stick to the script. All right.
They're gonna win
But why? What makes you say that?
because Patty Mahomes isn't hurt. Dude. He's gonna come out there, limp around. Gonna
Haven't you
limp
ever
through
heard
the
that
whole
phrase?
game.
Hurt or injured? Is he hurt or is he injured? There's a difference.
There is a difference. Guess what? He's hurt, not injured,
Boom.
and he'll come
You think he's
around.
gonna miss time?
He's
Yeah.
gonna throw the behind the back passes, the little pitches forward.
He's
and
always
they're
been a
gonna
freak.
fucking win.
He's always been a freak. He's always healed fast. I don't
Yeah.
think he's
And he
entirely
does this
wrong.
little fucking thing with his hand because
The
he's
difference,
autistic.
the difference between he has missed time. The difference between this time around and what he's
Well,
referring to now
Form of autism.
is that they have
I'm not.
they have 3 games
I'm
in
not
11
sitting here
days.
making fun of him.
Right? Isn't it
telling
3?
you.
Isn't it 3 games in 11 days?
Stop talking about autism. What?
I'm talking
It's 3
to
games
Bruce,
in
he
11
is
days,
too.
right?
3 games in 11 days.
That's why he's gonna miss one.
I think at some point, it's gonna run out.
I think he needs to miss this next game, which is Houston. You
I think
said,
he's gonna miss the next 2.
and honestly,
not gonna miss any
you could beat
games.
Houston without him.
You guys
could
need
do
to
that.
stop. He's not going to miss any games.
Supposedly, he's gonna miss time.
He's going to three-peat, dude. Going to three-peat. There's no
I-
stopping him.
You know what? You made Christmas so easy this
There's
year.
Brendan
no
and Danny,
stopping
clip
Patty
it.
Mahomes.
Clip it.
Whatever.
No stopping Patty Mahomes.
Get this
what's
on the
that in your
TikTok.
beard? There's a little bit of Mahomes in your beard, a little goo.
Yeah, whatever.
You got a little goo in your beard. Jesus.
You guys know I'm right.
Green,
hey,
green
who's-
for
Bruce, you
Kermit.
know I'm right, right?
I got a question for you. Who's playing
Biatch.
quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2025?
Joe Flacco.
Deshaun Watson.
You think so?
Yeah, to start.
Yep.
To start, it's Deshaun Watson.
You don't think that they just try and start it over?
They can't.
They're
You,
just
you have to.
too trapped.
You have to see this through. While you're depleted in your draft picks, I think they get their first round picks back next year. While you're depleted in your draft picks, you have to start him. So one more time.
Moving on, Ravens played the Giants. Ravens come out on top 35-14. Obviously, Josh Allen's the MVP. Where do you put Lamar Jackson in that conversation, Uncle Sam?
Here's the problem with that. He's already won it twice. Am I correct?
Yes.
He's won MVP
believe
twice,
so, yeah.
and
Right.
hasn't won a fucking Super Bowl, so I don't get it.
Okay, but that's not what I asked. Where do you have him in the MVP conversation?
I don't think he's in it, to be honest with you.
You don't even think he's top 5?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't.
Somebody who's not delusional, Zolo. Where do you have Lamar Jackson in your
Yeah,
MVP
he's
conversation?
2. He's 2. So by all metrics, this season is
How
better.
do you figure he's 2?
Because by all metrics, this season is better than his 2 MVP seasons. He's doing incredible stuff.
For the record, he was
Is he?
21 for 25 yesterday for 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, a QBR of 155, and 65 on the ground.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Against dog shit.
He
Hey,
does
Tommy
it,
DeVito.
He does it against non-dog
All
shit,
right,
though.
what about Jared Goff? Where is he at?
Jared
Goff.
Goff should be in the top 5.
Where the fuck is he at?
I'm
I
putting.
think he should be at 2.
I think Jared Goff should be at 2 as well, and I would put Lamar Jackson at 3.
You know,
Hold on. When I factor in the circumstances of certain teams, like for that reason, Baker Mayfield's in my top 5. You
Yeah.
know, Justin Herbert he's not anymore.
I
but
like where Mayfield's at.
but
I
Baker,
think he needs to be in there.
I would go Josh Allen 1.
What about Darnold?
No,
No.
get out of here with that.
Josh Allen, he could be if they win the 1 seed and he has a monster next 3 weeks. Yeah, he could be. I don't have him in there right now. For me, number 1 is Josh Allen. Number 2 is Lamar. Number 3 for me is Baker Mayfield. I'd put Goff at 4. 5 is probably Burrow just because of the season they've had, and Burrow hasn't been as good the last 2 weeks. But like a week ago, I would have put Burrow, or 2 weeks ago, I would have put Burrow at 3. But right now, I just think that it's Lamar and
What he's
Josh
doing-
Allen, and then the
with
rest.
what he's doing with them not winning is incredible.
It is, yeah, but
really is.
but you can make the case maybe he's not doing enough.
Why?
I wouldn't make
Why
that
would
case.
you say that? I mean, basically, if you look at him and you look at Josh Allen, the only difference is Allen's is winning games. Because Burrow's numbers are as good, if not better.
Yeah, but you got to win games.
Okay.
Got to win games, win the MVP.
All right.
What do you think of Shadur being in New York for the Heisman finalists, hanging out with Malik Neighbors a little bit?
Playing catch in the street, baby.
Yeah, you think Shadur Sanders QB1 for the Giants next year?
Sure do.
Shadur, dude.
I don't know.
Sure do.
I don't know if I would want that.
Well, do you think it's gonna happen?
Uncle Sam
I don't
isn't
know.
wrong on
I don't
saying
know.
Shadur isn't worthy of being the number 1 pick.
He's not the best player in the country.
But sometimes,
The
if you
brand.
need a position of need, you have to do it. Like sometimes that's just how it works. It just is what it is.
Unless
Like,
they can have somebody try to get a bite of the apple and move up.
like Blake Bortles wasn't the 3rd best quarterback in his. If it's not
Yeah.
the Giants taking the bite of the apple at 1, it's going to be the
Right.
Raiders taking the bite at 2. Teams
Right.
need a lot of teams that need quarterbacks this year. The Raiders and Giants rightfully are.
And like
picking
you
one and two.
said, you could see some quarterbacks moving in free agency this year rather than trying to draft one of these guys that are unproven.
No, I think Shadur has a shot in the right situation at a good pro career, a long,
He
healthy
needs
pro
a
career.
really, really solid coaching staff.
I agree.
wherever he goes.
Does
I
his
agree.
dad come
And-
with him?
They
No.
don't have it.
No.
They don't
No.
have it with the Giants, and they don't have it with.
Well,
No, I think Dable can manage a quarterback. He just was given a dog shit quarterback to manage,
Does
and he
Dable
still
make
took
it-
him to the playoffs and
does-
still won a game with them.
does Dable make it in next year?
He's gonna get They're both gonna get scapegoated. Everyone's gonna want a clean slate.
So you think they'd rather keep Dable than hire Coach Prime?
It's not gonna be Coach Prime. They're not gonna take a guy from college and bring him over. A guy that's barely working in college, by the way, and bring him over. They're not gonna do that.
Moving on. In one of the most anticipated games of the weekend, the Eagles played the Steelers. Eagles come out on top 27-13. Seems like everybody overreacted a bit to the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown beef, Uncle Sam?
I don't know. What do you think?
They looked pretty on point yesterday. Eagles come out on top 27-13. What did this tell you for both teams?
They're the second best team in the NFC.
Who?
The Eagles.
I'm moving the Eagles up a notch after that win, and I've been low on the Eagles. I think they're extremely overrated.
They
but
were still fighting on the sideline. Did you see all that shit?
Yes.
Sirianni and the
Slag.
defensive
Jalen
coordinator.
Carter.
Yeah, but you know what?
Jalen Carter was
Slay,
getting
and
in
all
on
the
But
that.
hold on. At what point is that just how they are? And then we accept it if they're winning games.
Because, as we've seen,
I wanted
That
to see
doesn't
Jalen Carter punch
maintain-
Nick Sirianni.
that doesn't
That's what I
maintain
wanted to
through a
see.
playoff stretch, and that kind of noise usually causes them to fall apart.
There is a lot of noise. They
Uh-huh.
won a pretty big game yesterday, despite the noise.
Yes, they did, and
I-
they did it
That's a good
convincingly.
team.
And
That's a
me
good team.
and me, who's chomping at the bit over here to take credit away from Philly at every opportunity, can only give Philly credit for that win yesterday. That's a big win, and I know it was at home, right? And the game was a lot closer than the score too, by the way. And I'd like to see what Pittsburgh would look like with George Pickens. Who am I, though? That being said, that's a huge win for Philly, getting the pass game back on track. That's the big thing I learned, though, is that I don't think that the pass game and the Saquon game can coexist. Like, I don't think they have the capability right now to find a true balance. They had it week 1 against the Packers. They were very balanced week 1 against the Packers. I have not seen it since. So it's either Jalen Hurts is going to get it done with his arm or Saquon's going to get it done with his legs. And they need to be balanced if they want to beat the Vikings and if they want to beat the Lions.
That was the closest thing to a playoff-style atmosphere that the Steelers have played in all year, going to Philadelphia, in-state rivalry, hotly contested game, 2 great teams. Do we think that Russell Wilson still has the juice to take this team deep into the playoffs? You think he's still got the magic? You think he
Yeah.
can lead a playoff run?
Yeah, he just needs some weapons, dude. They don't have a lot of weapons there, dude.
Well, no.
Offensively, they're probably one of the least talented
Offense.
teams that'll be into this playoff run. I even think Kansas City's got better
Oh, 100%.
receivers that they do.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, outside Pickens, what do you got?
Kelvin Austin,
Okay.
Thing.
He's a
I-
fucking
Ben
kick
Skronik.
returner.
Don't
I'm-
forget about Ben Skronik.
I'm shocked the utilization's been
Scotty
so low.
Miller.
The lack of Mike Williams has shocked me.
That kind of surprised me because he was good.
He was
The
good.
first couple of
Those
games
first
he
2
was
weeks,
there,
He was good.
he was hot. Now he's kind of disappeared again.
And I think that's a problem. And for that reason, I don't know if you need Russ to win a game against Kansas City or Buffalo or Baltimore or whoever, I don't trust it right now. I need to see it. I need to see Russ have that shred the nar type game.
Yeah.
Right, Bruce?
Nar. Next up, Commanders played the Saints. Commanders come out on top 20-19. How are we feeling about Washington? Are we even weaker than we were? We were kind of weak going
Yep.
into this week on them. Are we weaker than we were? Do you think they could lose that little inch they have up on Seattle currently for that wild card spot?
I am lower on Washington. They're
Listen, they almost lost to Spencer Rattler.
There we go. The Rattler came out strong yesterday. He did.
They think that if Rattler started that game yesterday, that the Saints probably would have won. How about the Saints? What they've done with Darren Reese taking
Yeah,
over?
they got a little bit of juice, man.
They've had it, and what if they fired Dennis Allen? Is Dennis Allen, is that his name?
Dennis Allen.
What if they fired him early on, right? Like 2 game, like we'll call it 3.
What
after
in
7
their
losses.
what was that? That 5-game stretch they went
Thought it
through
was
where they were
7.
getting smoked by
I
everybody?
think it was 7.
Yeah, they should have fired him at about 4.
Let's see here. Hold
because
on.
he's doing this right
They're
now.
5-9 currently. They lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They lost 7 in a row.
So, and on top of that, he should have beat the Rams. He should have beat the Rams at home. They should have won. They could have won yesterday. So there's 2. This division would look completely different
Yep.
if they had him coupled with that hot start, because he's doing this without, like, that was without Derek Carr yesterday, and last week was without Derek Carr. So
Well, I don't know
Ah.
if Kamara got hurt yesterday,
He did.
but he left the game.
he's
I
banged
didn't see him come back.
The Saints have really been doing it with smoke and mirrors. But I will say it's very interesting to watch this Washington situation right now. This is Washington next 3. Philadelphia, Atlanta, Dallas. At Dallas.
They need somebody outside Terry McLaurin to make plays on their offense. I mean, it's to the point now where all they're doing is handing the. And I'll tell you what, this is the Eckler thing, dude. That was huge, them losing Eckler.
Oh, I know.
That was huge. Their offense looks totally inconsistent without him.
And that was supposed to be a big game yesterday.
Yeah.
With Robinson, like he was consensus top 8 fantasy play, and he did.
Well, he played against a really good run defense, too. That's one thing about New Orleans. Their run defense is very good.
So yeah, this is where this starts to really get interesting because they're only a game up on Seattle now.
Yeah.
2 games up on Arizona. If they drop 2 of those next 3, they could very easily see themselves out of that playoff spot.
Yep.
Very easily.
Who's their next 2 games coming up?
Who's?
Washington?
If Philly at some point.
Philadelphia next, and
Dallas.
then Philadelphia and at Dallas.
That's not going to be easy.
No, they play somebody in between Philadelphia and Dallas. Is it Philadelphia, Frisco,
I think
Dallas?
they beat the Giants.
Buzz.
Thank you. At home against Philly, at home against Atlanta, at Dallas.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So Atlanta realistically, hypothetically, they lose to Philadelphia, then Atlanta's only a game back on them if Atlanta can do it this week, going into that game against each other. That could bring in 2 teams from the NFC South, which we never thought could happen. But
Yeah.
you learn something new every day. Moving on. The Cowboys played the Panthers. I picked Carolina. I'm man enough to admit it. Dallas comes out on top 30-14.
Jerry Jones was so ecstatic yesterday. He He was so fucking happy that they won a football game yesterday. He was just completely beside himself.
Against the Carolina Panthers.
Another team
God.
sabotaging their draft.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I was surprised they manhandled Carolina the way they did.
Rico Dowdle manhandled Carolina. Rico Dowdle. And then Cooper Rush just had to dump him into the end zone. But
Yeah.
you think CeeDee Lamb is quarterback proof? Is he that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy's really good.
He looked like an absolute monster yesterday. And
I don't
granted,
mean to go back, but back to that one game with Cleveland. But Jerry Jeudy, the last 3 games,
he's hot.
my man is showing that he can play some football.
Yeah, and I mean,
You know,
we were
and
all real low
We
on
were
him.
not high on him at all, especially when Denver had dumped them. We were like, "What the fuck?" You know. And he's been pretty quarterback proof himself.
Andrew in the chat has a question for you. Does Sirianni have the most punchable face in all of sports?
Ask Jalen Carter.
Are we thinking that maybe we gave Bryce Young too much credit, or are you still
No,
there?
no,
You're still there.
I'm still there with him. Listen, they come out a little bit flat yesterday.
Yeah.
It showed what happens when you kind of thinking you're better than what you are, and you come out a little flat and get your ass punched.
Yeah.
What happened?
Ass punching.
Hey, there's an ass punching for everybody.
Amen. Okay. We have 2 games to pick tonight. There's 2 Monday night games.
I hate this double Monday night bullshit, dude.
Bears are headed to Minnesota. Vikings are 7-point favorites. Over-under's 43.5. So if Minnesota wins tonight, they will have the same record as our Detroit Lions.
Mhm.
Does that change anything?
No,
No.
Because we still have the matchup.
The
we
Lions
beat them.
for divisional tiebreakers, first record or the first tiebreak is head to head.
Yep.
Lions obviously on that. Case in point, you're done there. Done. Second tiebreak, if it matters, which it will down the stretch. Second
In
tiebreak
division.
is record within the division. Then I believe I mix these 2 up, but then the next 2 are record within conference and then common opponents. I think it's common opponents first and then conference.
So pretty much we're all Bears fans tonight.
We're all Bears fan. Whoever's playing the Packers, whoever's playing the Vikings, and whoever's playing the Eagles, we are fans of those teams going
Okay.
forward.
Go Bears.
Yeah. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
We have needed help from all of these teams all year. The Lions are putting together a historic season, the best season in franchise history. We've needed help from teams all year and have never gotten the help. They're not going to get the help tonight.
So you're taking the Vikings.
Vikings win, Vikings cover. I like DJ Moore to go off tonight for Chicago. That's about it. It's going to be, you're going to see a lot of Sam Darnold. You're going to see a lot of Addison again, a lot of Jefferson again.
Uncle Sam?
The over, by the way, too. I like the over.
It's at Minnesota.
It's
Yeah.
at Minnesota.
Taking the Bears.
Yes.
Taking the Bears to win.
Let's go. I believe, if I remember correctly, there was a primetime game between these 2 teams last year, and I think the Bears won.
Over under 43.5.
Over.
Over. I'm going to take the Bears as well. Give me DeAndre Swift, not only to cover, but to win. I like the DeAndre Swift anytime. I also like his rushing line, which is currently at 49.5 yards. I think he eclipses that.
Is that Rashawn kid playing?
Roshan Johnson.
Johnson.
He should be there.
Rashawn Johnson.
I don't think
Is he playing
I don't
tonight?
see him.
This is, by the way, the game that the Bears lost last year.
questionable
The
or-
Bears went into Minnesota and won 12-10.
He's not on any of the prop sites. I don't see him on here. So
Is he
maybe-
hurt?
Well, if he's not on there, then I can safely assume
have
that
my
he is
phone,
probably hurt. Let me check.
Well, 'cause he was gonna
Would you
be
like
my-
to know what the
He
weather
was
is going
gonna
to be like in
my,
Minnesota?
He was going to be
tonight?
my prop.
Roshan Johnson is out with a concussion.
Okay, forget it.
And I'm also taking Justin Jefferson anytime with over 81.5 yards.
And what's the weather like? It's a dome, right?
Yeah. You still want to know?
No.
Okay. It's cold in Minnesota.
75.
Bruce?
Sunny.
Minnesota in the over.
And then secondly, we have the Atlanta Falcons heading to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Atlanta's a 5.5-point favorite. Over-under's 44.5. I'm taking Atlanta. I am taking the under. And give me a Bijan anytime.
Who's quarterback in the Raiders? Desmond
Aiden
Ritter?
O'Connell is officially out, so it's Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. I'm taking Atlanta,
There we go.
taking the under. And I got a Brock Bowers anytime touchdown.
There you go. Zolo.
Atlanta to win, Atlanta to cover, Drake London anytime. Parlay that with the Brock Bowers anytime.
Yeah, you can put Brock Bowers anytime in there. Bruce, you want to shoot some goo on this game?
I'm going to shoot goo all over this game. I'm going to take the Raiders win this game.
You're so.
Hey, I was actually going to take him if O'Connell was playing.
Well, I'm going to take the Raiders. I'm going to take.
But he's not. He's out for the
Actually,
year.
I'm going to take the under.
I think, yeah, this is a good under game. This is a good under game, and honestly, that Bears Vikings might be a good over game.
All right.
Anyways, that is our wrap on another week. Hey, you want to know what's messed up? We're almost done.
Thank
We're going to be
God.
talking about playoffs.
Thank God. I'm so tired of football.
What do you mean you're tired of
I hate
football,
fucking
dude?
I'm starting to hate football.
What are
dude.
you talking about?
I don't like it anymore.
Whatever.
Fucking beat.
Whatever.
Days like, not yesterday, because I was fine with the loss. Like, that was a great loss to me. But mornings like today, where there's just injury after injury after injury. Like,
Noise, injury,
It-
noise.
it
I'm
makes
going to
you
be
hate
honest
football.
with you, dude. I personally think that they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win their division. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. And you've heard it now. So
Who's your Super Bowl pick? Chiefs versus Eagles. Patty Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. Right?
did I say anything?
Well, I'm asking you.
You
I
didn't
don't
say
know
no?
yet. I don't know yet.
Whatever.
I don't know yet.
Anything to add, Zolo?
Might be Chiefs Vikings.
I would. You know what?
Chiefs Tampa. That'd be a great
If
game.
it's a Chiefs Vikings Super Bowl, the two biggest frauds in the league currently, I'm done. I'm retiring. I will retire. We'll give the studio to Bruce. He can grow dope in here.
There you go.
Bruce, anything to add?
At least we'll actually make money.
Got the lights.
Solo, anything to add?
Jeez. No.
You got anything?
Zola will be smoking that weed pen with Bruce.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. Lions are away next week, right?
Yeah, they're in Chicago.
We don't have any tickets to give away. Sorry. But you should still follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls
I want to
Podcast.
go to that game.
What game?
Chicago.
This weekend?
Yeah, it's supposed to snow.
I'm pulling it up.
I
right now.
wish it would fucking snow. I
27
would
and
go.
sunny. It snows the day
Fuck.
before. You want to go? I'll go with you.
No, if it would snow, I would go.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back Wednesday.
I mean, I want some shit. Hey, you know what?